Hey guys, what's up? So this is basically going to be my number 2 series in the whiteboard things. Yeah. So upon thinking about yesterday's video, multi-generation warfare, how is it relevant to anything that we do right now, practically speaking? Uh, because we're in it right now, practically speaking. Whether you're a known actor or unknown, or a combination of both, or ignorant, you're in it right now. So basically, this is a giant zoomed out macro picture of basically the systems of the world's systems. And this can be like ideology, it can be political, government, religious, economic, what have you. So, 5th and 6th generation warfare apply directly to world systems because it's not just the United States participating in generational warfare, it's all countries. And there's overlap everywhere. So, in time, though, as things go on and they de-evolve, whether on purpose or on accident or somewhere in between, it'll eventually go down to 4th generation warfare, which we talked about, which will be more like traditional GWAT, late Cold War era military maneuvers upon various governments or ethnic groups or what have you. So we're seeing that now. Here are your spheres of influence right here. So basically, it's not just the US or Russia or NATO or anything like that. It's you have to dig into context and nuance. So I break it down into just these 4 categories. And this whole series isn't meant to be like super in-depth hour lecture stuff because I have ADHD and I don't have time for that. So I'm going to try to do it within like 10 minutes, roughly is the goal. And it's just a general breakdown. So you have your traditionalist countries, traditional systems. You think about mostly Western Europe comes to mind, traditionally speaking. Balkans, Russia, that whole thing. Actually, you can even include Japan and their cultural traditionalism of countries that tend to work hand in hand together for a common goal. So that's why I put this up there. Even though we're at conflict with them, they're still a traditionalist country. Next, you have secular technocratics. And that would be more like the modern EU, Western Europe versus Eastern Europe, really. And also China is included in that because secular is just a nice, polite way, a political way of saying atheistic. Now, being atheist doesn't mean you're necessarily a bad person or anything, but it does mean that you have an ideology. Also, I'll put the cross for Christian. I myself am Orthodox, and by along with Protestants and Catholics and pretty much everyone else for the most part. So secular is these countries. Think Northern Europe and Britain. And then you also have, underneath this system, nihilistic systems or materialists. So nihilists are people who want to see the world burn, accelerationists, people like that. And I've just kind of put traditional like socialist systems with that, and things are similar. And after that, you have ambitious opportunities. So they're kind of like, they can take the ideology of a country, but the country doesn't necessarily have that ideology. It's just more of a way of life. And with that, I put something like Israel or Turkey or something like that. While Turkey is technically Muslim, but they're not like UAE or Pakistan. They're fairly Western. And that's also another thing. These 4 categories aren't meant to completely stand alone. There's bleed over. For instance, the crossover here, Russia and China tend to hook up because spheres of influence live next to each other. So you have a traditionalist country with a secular technocratic country teaming up. U.S. and Israel. We are a traditionalist country, but we also team up with basically opportunistic ideologies, because we work hand in hand. And after that, something like the EU and the nihilistic systems, because they're both at their core secular. So you have your secular technocratic here, and then you have your nihilistic systems. This all comes down to philosophy, actually. Like, oh my God, you're getting really heady into this stuff, blah, blah, blah. How's this relevant to me getting a ballistic helmet, a rifle, and cool shit like that? You have to know why you're in the fight. So, of these systems, they're all flawed. They're all massively, massively flawed. There will never be a perfect system ever, because it's human nature. We're not going to be perfect. It's just not going to happen. We'll be really, really good. We might be perfect at times temporarily, but we will never have a perfect utopian system. That's probably one of the biggest lies ever taught by anyone. No, we're flawed creatures. We're going to have flawed systems, but we try to make them work the best we can. For instance, that's why I didn't put like a monarchical system up here, because I'm not a big fan of them. But I know they exist, but they could also fit in the traditionalist countries category. So, having said all this, it's just a breakdown. So, why are you in this? Why are you into gear and preps and whatnot? So it could be political ideology. Some of it could be religious ideology. Some of it could be secular ideology. There's a lot of different reasons for a lot of different stuff. And you bring over your own biases and thoughts and opinions into the gear as you do your own thoughts. So, if you have not clearly defined how you see the world, that's logical and makes sense, and taking out your own emotional bias, you will fail. You will not understand things. We have cult of personality problem here. Like, overall, yeah, I like Trump, but he's done some really stupid things I really don't like. But you have the same thing with Obama, cult of personality. So you have it on both ends of the spectrum. That, to me, is a person that tends to see things in the middle, because between two extremes is a center, a balance point, and that's where moderation comes from, right? So those both can't be good. And I've known some people that are like, well, their number one issue is political means, right? Okay. It's not. Political identity and operations are not the highest standard we can live by as a human being. The highest standard we can live by as a human being is a traditional cultural standard. Politics is downwind of culture, not the other way around. Based on who you are as a people is how you will be ruled by your people, and if not, by others. So you have to understand that. Now, getting into all this, I know, like I said, it's very heady stuff, but you can't just be a goober, a hilljack, running around not knowing anything. You do have to take the time and work the most dangerous weapon known to man, which is your noggin. That is what separates you from a possible drone robot army in the future. Hope not. But anyways, these systems have been in place through trial and error because of human experience. Let's take our system, a regular American system, traditionalist. Who are we up against? Well, we have elements within our own country which are made up of these other subgroups. I don't see things being very stable. They could be worse, though. I'm looking at you, Britain. Things pretty wacky over there. So you have to break it down. One thing I didn't put up here, which I'm now thinking about, is some Islamic culture stuff. Because not every Muslim person's a bad guy, right? Obviously. But as an ideology, it is subversive and it is conquerous in nature. So know what you're fighting for. Know your history. Do some research. Don't just believe tweets and reels and stuff like that. Actually get out there and do some research. Anyways, that's it for my second lecture. which is the various world systems. We're in 5th and 6th generation warfare. These are the different systems, generally speaking, that are in the world. And they're not just completely separate. They cross over in ways that would seem contradictory. And yet here we are. And that's it. Any questions, comments, or anything? My next topic, I don't know yet, but I'll think about it. Anyways, have a good weekend, guys. Bye.